the flicker beneath the waves. Welcome to Silent Confessions, a place where your untold stories find a voice. Here, we embrace the raw, the vulnerable, and the deeply human. Whether it's your hidden fears, cherished dreams, or the thoughts you've never dared to share, this is a safe space where every confession matters. Together, we break the silence, connect through shared emotions, and remind each other that we are never truly alone. I grew up in a quiet, dreamy town called Oceanside Ridge, nestled on the rugged coastline of Maine. Life there felt like it had its own rhythm, detached from the chaos of the wider world. The mornings often seemed magical, the gilded sun rising to kiss the restless waves, breezes carrying the scent of salt and damp earth, dew glistening like small miracles on the wildflowers dotting the countryside. At the heart of this idyllic setting was my family, my father, Eli, and my mother, Grace. Eli was the embodiment of vitality, a man whose laughter could light up any room and whose personality was as tempestuous and irresistible as the ocean. He ran a small seafood bistro in town, its warm walls and mouth-watering meals a haven for locals and visitors alike. Every plate he served seemed infused with the very soul of our coastal paradise, a feast that carried the scent of salt air and the flavor of wind-tossed waves. On the flip side of Eli's stormy fire was Grace, a literature teacher whose wisdom and gentleness radiated with quiet intensity. Grace's soft demeanor grounded our family. Her words, steeped in stories of love and courage, wrapped around me like a soothing balm. She was the lyrical rhythm that matched Eli's vibrant heartbeat. Their dynamic, a synergy that I grew up believing, was the foundation of love itself. Our family dinners were sacred rituals. With flavors, words, and laughter spilling across the table, the memories created felt eternal. Yet even the strongest foundations can shift, and the shifting, that was where the current pulled me into deeper, uncharted waters. When I entered my teenage years, that unshakable family bond felt different, like a familiar melody suddenly played in a darker, haunting key. Eli, once the hero of my childhood, became less of a steadfast pillar. His hugs, though still warm, took on a weight I couldn't interpret. His once carefree glances now seemed tinged with unease. And something else, something that whispered just below the surface. Grace chose to remain silent, though her eyes betrayed her awareness of it all. I sought solace in the untamed coastline, the waves my sole confidant, their restless energy mirroring my own internal chaos. I clung to their rhythm, hoping they'd somehow translate what I could not voice, the quiet tumult between love, uncertainty, and a faint but growing allure, the kind I didn't yet have the courage to name. One chilly evening, Grace left for a work conference in Boston. Alone with Eli for the first time in years, I expected a casual dinner, maybe a movie. What unfolded, however, was something far more deliberate, as though Eli had spent hours crafting an experience just for me. The dining room table was blanketed in candlelight, its flickering flames casting entrancing shadows across the walls. My favorite dishes lined every square inch of the ivory cloth. He had once cooked for the town with the fervor of an artist. Tonight, it felt like every brushstroke was meant for my eyes only. The air held tension, subtle at first, like the low hum before a storm arrives. As the evening deepened, casual laughter shifted unpredictably. His anecdotes, usually exuberant and carefree, took on a velvet richness with pauses that lingered. When his hand brushed against mine as he reached for the wine, a spark, sharp and electric, bolted through me, a sensation that left me unnerved. Confusion roiled beneath my skin. Suddenly, the flickering candlelight transformed his face into something I couldn't reconcile. He was no longer just my father, but a man, enigmatic, magnetic, and far too close. That night, under the blanket of my covers, I replayed every charged glance, every unintentional yet revealing brush of his fingertips. My blood pulsed with an intoxicating mix of exhilaration and guilt, emotions that danced dangerously along the razor's edge of the forbidden. Over the following weeks, our interactions shifted dramatically. It was subtle enough that an outsider wouldn't notice, but overwhelming within the fragile sphere that now enclosed just the two of us. Each word carried weight, each shared glance lingered, smoldering as though holding back an unspeakable secret. When he complimented me now, a luxurious gravitas coated his words, one that caused an involuntary flush to creep onto my cheeks. Was I reading too much into these fragmented moments, or were they deliberate? The answers eluded me, trapped beneath my guilt and uncertainty as waves trap secrets deep beneath an ocean surface. It was both thrilling and terrifying, being seen like this by someone who had been a fixed star in my universe. And yet, in the quiet, still moments, remorse clashed violently with the unexpected allure that now drew me like a tide towards something so much larger and darker than either of us. The night it all came to a head started innocently enough, the two of us curled on the couch, a film's glow flickering faintly in the background. Outside, the sharp whistle of wind mingled with the ocean's roaring waves. The warm firelight illuminated his face, painting Eli in hues I'd never noticed before. He was more intimate, more vulnerable than I'd ever seen him, his presence almost magnetic. "You've grown into such a beautiful woman," he murmured as his eyes met mine, the words piercing through me in a way no compliment ever had. The tension in the room evolved into something palpable, a force neither of us dared to name. When his hand brushed my cheek, the gesture was not hesitant, it was electric. My breath caught in my throat, the storm inside me and around us building relentlessly. His touch blurred every line I clung to. Time splintered. I wanted to recoil, to justify this as a moment we could both forget. But the truth? My body betrayed me, holding fast in the charged space we occupied. Then, as if sensing he had opened a door neither of us was ready for, he pulled away, muttering with a ragged breath about needing air. The absence of his presence felt hollow, the warmth he'd left behind on my skin a cruel reminder of what nearly happened. It marked the start of something that tore us both apart. Denial, guilt, and temptation, spinning in a chaotic array. And yet to bury this would be to bury myself, to deny the growing complexity within me. I journaled obsessively, my pen scratching furiously against the paper in a desperate attempt to understand. The tension between us ebbed and flowed, each encounter laden with unspoken truths we were both too cowardly to speak aloud. Finally, I found the courage to confront him. My voice shook as I addressed him in the kitchen one quiet evening, my honesty slicing through the silent tension. "Something has changed between us," I whispered, unable to meet his wide, guilt-ridden eyes. "We can't keep pretending it hasn't." His shoulders sank under the unbearable weight of acknowledgement, and for a moment, the man I'd idolized in childhood reappeared, but this bittersweet with raw humanity. "I know," he murmured, his voice splintering under the fragile honesty between us. "But it's not right. It can't be. You deserve better than this confusion." It felt both like a knife and a balm, the foundation upon which I had built years of safety, admiration, and desire shattered, but from its broken pieces, the promise of clarity began to form. That clarity took time, therapy serving as the lifeline we clung to. Rebuilding boundaries became an act of painful excavation, and Grace, my mother, my lighthouse, became our family's steadfast guide. Her unwavering love for Eli and for me steered us from the storm that so nearly consumed us. As I pieced myself together, I came to understand the complexity of human relationships and emotions, that what is right is not always clear, and love is not always simple. The town of Oceanside Ridge remained constant, its eternal tides reminding me that healing comes as it does for the sea, steady, unrelenting, and always, always forward. Thank you for being part of Silent Confessions. Remember, sharing your truth is an act of courage, and listening with an open heart is a gift to others. If you have a story or a thought to share, leave it in the comments below. Your voice is always welcome here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to join us on this journey of connection and understanding. Until next time, stay kind, stay brave, and keep listening to the silence within.